share, we have experienced the joys and challenges of raising disabled children. We know what is possible because we see it. We live it every day. Thanks to Medicaid, we know what is possible. Which means we also know what is at stake. We know what we might lose. We are so close to losing it, and that's why we're here. This is my very, very dear friend, Jamie Davis-Smith, who we have roamed the halls of Congress together many, many times. And I am so honored that you're here, and I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Thanks. Well, I can't believe we have to be here again. As Elena said, Little Lobbyists started in 2017 when a group of parents who didn't really know what we were doing decided to come walk the halls of Congress and tell our own stories and how much our disabled children rely on Medicaid and the joy they bring to our lives and how happy they are, how happy we are to have them at home. And this is my daughter, Claire. She's a very happy young adult now who loves her daddy very much. And thanks to Medicaid and the home and community-based supports that we've been able to access, Claire has been able to thrive, not just survive, but thrive at home with her siblings, go to the playground with them, go to movies, just be a part of our family, go to school. Medicaid has helped pay for her wheelchair, which needs to be replaced periodically as she grows, special equipment she needs at home to be able to sit at the dinner table with us and attend school with her peers. And we can't let that go. It's what Claire deserves. It's what we all deserve. And so we really need to save Medicaid. Families like ours all across the country deserve it. And I wanted to briefly tell the story of a dear friend of mine in Pennsylvania who couldn't be here today, but she grew her family through adoption, and she adopted two wonderful children, four total, but two wonderful children with disabilities who she adopted out of foster care. And the reason she was able to do that is because of Medicaid. She could take care of these children and commit to caring for them because she knew Medicaid would help with their medical care. And Medicaid is really what's enabled her to really care for her family and these children in the way they deserve to be cared for. And in her adoption and foster care communities, there's a lot of talk about how without Medicaid, a lot of these children will just continue to languish in foster care because families won't have the resources that they need to care for these children who are currently in foster care. And that's a travesty. That's not who we are as Americans. We need to take care of the most vulnerable members of our society, including our disabled children. So thank you all for being here, and I think Claire's dad wants to say something.
Well, I would just add that many Americans, I suspect, were probably like I was. You know, before Claire was born, I didn't really know much about what Medicaid was, what Medicaid did. And, you know, if you told me about kind of the program that Elena just spoke about, which is a kind of initiative by Ronald Reagan to help people like our daughters and our children stay at home with us instead of being institutionalized, I wouldn't have known the first thing about it. But I also didn't realize that the health insurance that I had was woefully inadequate to kind of cover the needs that my family would have when Claire was born. I had, at that time, the health insurance plan that was most prevalent, most common in the metropolitan area where I'm from. So it wasn't some weird plan. When, you know, Claire didn't walk until age 3. When we needed physical therapy so she could learn how to walk, the plan said, well, we don't cover that. We cover rehabilitative physical therapy not habilitative physical therapy, and because she's never known how to walk, we won't pay for that. That was a surprise and nothing I expected. When her needed genetic testing, as was recommended by the genetics clinic at the Children's Hospital that we had, where Claire sees, many doctors, the answer was, well, we're not sure how that's going to help treat her. That just seems like some curiosity you have as to what the genetic condition you have that your daughter has, because you haven't been able to identify it through means other than genetic testing. And, many of you probably think that if you need to buy a wheelchair, that your health insurance will cover that as well. You may be surprised by just how much durable medical equipment it costs and how low your benefit is. And so you're kind of talking about, for us, we have health insurance. I never thought that Medicaid was for people who have health insurance, but as it turns out, it is. I've never been more grateful of kind of my fellow Americans and the federal government than I have been since I've received Medicaid, and the incredible amounts of money that it's provided. Claire has thoughts on this too. I love you too. The incredible amount of resources that have been dedicated to my daughter to make sure that she can be as happy as she can and frankly be alive today. And I just think that oftentimes there are a lot of programs out there, and I don't think Medicaid's the only one, that we don't realize it actually covers all Americans, not just uninsured Americans, Americans with insurance. Yeah. And I don't really think that most Americans actually want to stop services. I don't think they realize that they're covered by Medicaid. When they're going to be in a tough situation, it'll be there for them. I don't know that they realize it covers, special education services to our schools. Your schools will be underfunded if Medicaid is cut. All I can say is myself and Adam, we're both very, very grateful for everything everyone's doing today to fight to save Medicaid. We're very optimistic because we think Medicaid's an important program for all of Americans, and we think we're going to come together and, leadership in the House and the Senate, and hopefully a change of heart maybe in the executive branch. We think we're going to be able to turn this thing around.
Thank you for being here, the family. I'm sorry that you have to come down here and fight for what should be basic in a country like ours. To hear that there are children in foster care that their parents and their families want them, but they just don't have the resources to take care of them. And so for you to do this, as I said earlier, the biggest, most costly, most threatening poverty in America is a poverty of empathy, is people not understanding what their fellow Americans are struggling with, and not because we can't afford it, not because we're not the richest nation on the planet, but because we're not prioritizing. And the reason why Hakeem and I came out here nearly 7 hours ago was to try to center stories like yours, open up a live stream, and hope that more Americans, tens of thousands of Americans, will watch and hear these stories and understand what we're fighting for, and ultimately do what this courageous little lobbyist is doing. Is to say, if this little lobbyist can come down to Congress, can fight, then I can come down and talk to my congressperson, talk to my senator, let my voice be heard. You do not stand alone. You are not alone. We love you, we see you, and we will fight for you. Now, Cole, I've heard about you, sir. I am so happy that you are here. I am so grateful for you as one of the great little lobbyists, and I see your T-shirt. Look at that great T-shirt with the American flag here. Can I say hello to you? Can I shake your hand? Do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi.
Thank you. And maybe I'll let you speak for a minute. Would you like to say something? All right.
Thank you so much. My name is Victoria, and as you just heard, this is my son, Cole. You want to say hello? Okay. He is 8 years old, and he was born with mitochondrial disease. He spent most of the first few years of his life in the hospital, and if it weren't for Medicaid, we would be in big trouble. He hit a lifetime cap within the first 4 months of his life, and we would not be here today if it weren't for him having access to Medicaid. He also requires 20 hours a day of skilled nursing, and the only insurance that pays for private home care nursing is Medicaid. Without Medicaid's involvement, he wouldn't be able to go to school with his peers. He wouldn't be able to access his community the way that he does. And he would be in an institution, which is just crazy to me. He is so full of joy and hope and life, and all of our children are, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget when we're talking about children with disabilities. They are still children. They are still people. They have hopes and dreams and joy, and Medicaid is one of the resources that allows them to chase those dreams. And Cole has big dreams of being a video game designer and a plumber. He's having 2 jobs. Right?
I don't know which.
No? Okay.
I don't know which one yet.
You don't know which one yet, and that's okay. You have time. But Medicaid has been such an important resource for our family. It allows me to be a mother to him and not just a full-time 24/7 caregiver around the clock. I get to experience life with him, and it has been such a blessing. And we're so grateful to be here today to share our story and lend our voice to hopefully making some change.
We're so thankful for our little lobbyists who are here standing up in defense of the best of America and the health care of the American people. And, you know, I was struck. We mentioned earlier, Cory and I started this standing on the shoulders of so many civil rights heroes and great patriotic Americans of every race, of every religion, fighting for what the best of America is, but, of course, inspired by our experiences serving with the great John Lewis. Several of us, the great John Lewis, had the opportunity to work alongside him. Many of us were down in Selma just last month for the annual Civil Rights Pilgrimage to mark the 60th anniversary commemoration of Bloody Sunday. John Lewis and Hosea Williams and those civil rights Happy birthday, Cory. Use your outside voice. I use my outside voice, but let's go. Hey, Mike, come back around. We're going to go up. Okay, we're coming up. Okay. Cole, can you walk up the steps? Point about Cole. Okay. So we're here, of course, Cole. We're here in the spirit of John Lewis, who always urged us to get into good trouble. And there's that iconic moment of John Lewis standing at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, knowing that as they were preparing to cross it, there was great uncertainty, danger on the other side that was waiting for them, sent by George Wallace and Sheriff Jim Clark. But there was this iconic photograph of them standing together. And one of the things that has always struck me was that you have John Lewis, and he has his backpack on him that he always took with him. And when I was looking at Cole and his spirit and his fight, I said, what an amazing thing. 60 years later, he's standing as a little lobbyist for the best of America with his backpack on him, just like John Lewis. Just like John Lewis. Cole, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the little lobbyists.
All right, sit down for a second. We have our next speaker. We're going to come down. You can go wherever you want, Cole. This is your capital. This is your house. This is your house. Anywhere you want to go, man. So I want to just tell one quick story, then we're going to go down to talk to Eddie Unidos. But I just want to preview one of the great leaders in America. He was a great leader in the House of Representatives, but then in the draft, we drafted him over to the Senate. And there's a little tension. You can see there's a little space between these two men because he abandoned him in the House, East Coast, West Coast rapper kind of thing. But we're after we go down and talk to the president of Unidos, we're gonna come back and introduce the great Adam Schiff. But I want to keep recentering us to you. I want to keep recentering us to the purpose here. The purpose is that tomorrow Congress is back in session. And they are saying they're going to push a very big bill. Thank you. Thank you. I'm embarrassed that I need reading glasses, but thank you for them. Congress is back in session. They are going to be pushing a piece of legislation that will cut food for the hungry, cut health care for the sick, cut services for our seniors, support for the disabled, programs to support the little lobbyists, future leaders of our country, not future, current leaders of our country. And so I want to, we said today that we would talk a lot about John Lewis. So before I come down to talk to one of the best, a much better president than the one that sits in the Oval Office, the president of Unidos, I just want to share that moment where you're with the backpack and the raincoat on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That day, March 7th, 1965, there was a guy at home, white guy on a couch in New Jersey watching TV. Most of America that night, we only had 3 TV stations. I know some of the young people, what hardship, I know. And here's also the hardship. This is why people were so in shape back then, is that you had to get up to go change the channel. That exercise alone was a lot. Well, this guy on the couch was watching a movie called, talk about moral moments, watching Judgment at Nuremberg. And they cut away that night to show that incident on the bridge. Breaking news. And he watched what was happening. And here's this guy in New Jersey, and this white guy who was so disturbed, morally disturbed, that his first instinct was, I got to go to Alabama and help. And then he slumped back on his couch and he realized he had just started his law firm, that he could barely afford the cost of his family, he couldn't afford a plane ticket, and he kind of slumped down on the couch. But then he realized something that is a great American tradition. I don't have to do everything. I just need to do something. And I'm not going to allow my inability to do everything to undermine my determination to do something. I'm going to do the best I can with what I have where I am. And he decided, it sounds meager, but that he could afford one more hour of pro bono work than he was already doing. He was already a committed guy. And he found a small group in New Jersey called the Fair Housing Council, called them up, and they said, we need some help because we're trying to break the housing discrimination in New Jersey. And amazingly, they go to work and they create a sting operation where they send black couples to look at houses in all white areas, and when they're told the house is sold or a house is off the market, they would send the white couple to see if it was real. And indeed, it often was lies, and they exposed it. And they got good at it, bringing it into the newspaper, putting pressure. And then about 4 years later, he gets this case file from a family coming up from the South that kept getting turned away. And they said, okay, well, we'll do the sting operation. They sent them to go look at a home. They fell in love with the home, but the real estate agent said, I'm sorry, this home is sold. So they leave, and the white couple comes and finds out the house is still for sale. They put a bid on the house for the black family, and the white couple's bid was accepted. Papers were drawn up, and on the day of the closing, at the real estate agent's office, the white couple did not show up. The lawyer did, volunteer lawyer, and the black man from the family. And they walk into the real estate agent's office and confront the real estate agent. You told this family that the house was sold. It wasn't. Produced the contract for the white family. Now we want to, but the guy didn't even let them finish. The real estate agent gets up and punches the lawyer in the face and sigs a Doberman pinscher on the black guy. Fight breaks out. Things get broken. They're able to get out there, not too messed up, and they start writing legal letters, alerting the press. The owners of the home, the good people that owned the home, were so embarrassed when they heard what was happening They agreed to sell the the black family, the home directly, and the black family moved in. They integrated this area of New Jersey, but that's not the end of the story. 43 years later, the baby, just 4 months old at that time of that black family, gets elected as the 4th black person ever elected to the United States Senate. Me. I am here because one American who was sitting on the couch said these are not normal times. This is a moral moment. I have to do something different than I'm doing now. Do not underestimate your power to make a difference. Nobody standing up in a righteous cause to defend health care, to defend services for the disabled, to defend food for the hungry. No one standing up in the cause of our country does so in vain. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to walk down the steps one more time to introduce. Does she have a microphone already? Is a mic coming? Oh, this is wonderful.
We got a mic, and as we introduce Janet, I want to acknowledge that we've been joined by 3 members of Congress, House of Representatives.
Yes.
Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland from the great state of Washington.
Yes. Is that Washington, D.C. or Washington?
Great state of Washington.
State of Washington.
Washington State.
I know.
Congressman Greg Landsman from the great state of Ohio.
Woo!
And of course, we got Congresswoman Maxine Dexter from the great state of Oregon.
Yes! We got the Pacific Northwest in the house.
Pacific Northwest. Oh, cool. Oh, Congresswoman Delaney from the great state of Maryland.
Woo!
We're about to have a House Democratic Caucus meeting right here on the steps of the House.
We got some good speakers on deck, but no better than El Presidente of one of our oldest, strongest civil rights organizations in the United States of America, Unidos US.
Gracias. Thank you. I just want to say how much I admire this senator, because I think history will tell a story about this moment in time when one senator stood up for 25 hours to voice what we as all Americans wanted to be heard, and stood there in his official capacity in our Senate and represented the voice of millions, a turning point for our country. Thank you. And I think today, with the leadership of Leader Hakeem Jeffries and in partnership with Senator Booker, I think people are going to look back at this moment and say this was the day that the people stood up, stand down, and we fought for the future of this country that we want. Thank you, Leader Jeffries. I'm proud to be the leader of the largest Latino civil rights and advocacy organization in the United States. Proud to represent over 300 community-based organizations serving millions of families every day across this country. And we understand firsthand the threats that we're facing today and the opportunity that we have to fight back and to see that vision of the future America we want to see. The Latino community has been a core part of the contributions and the economic engine for this country. And we need to continue to see that strengthen across other communities so that we can have a strong economy that represents the values. You know, I was fortunate. I'm hearing the competition between the Senate and the House here a little bit going on. I'm a House alum, a former member of the committee staff for the Energy and Commerce Committee, and I saw the real workings of the Congress when it came to establishing Medicaid and what the challenges are, but how we can make sure that it's fully serving everyone. And I see directly today the threats to dismantle Medicaid, a core safety net for Latinos and everyone. We need this program. And right now we're seeing a budget. And I remember long enough to also know that I worked in a House of Representatives alongside Congressman John Lewis. And it was John Lewis who said, when you show me your budget, you are showing me who you are. When you show me your budget, you are showing me your values. And when you show me your budget, you are telling me what I need to do to make sure we're lifting up the values of this great nation. So today, when I see cuts ordered in the proposal that's about to be taken up in this Congress starting tomorrow, in this budget reconciliation bill process, I reject this notion that we can stand idly by while they propose an $880 billion cut in Medicaid. No, we will not accept that. 70 million Americans rely on that. 20 million Latino families. This would eviscerate the very needs of our community. And right now, our communities, all of us, we're focused on the economics. And we're hearing and remembering what the president in the White House said, that on day one, he would fix the economy. Well, we're 100 days into this economy, and guess what? We're worse off than we were a year ago, and many people believe right now, including Latinos, that we're going to continue to be worse off if we let this go. So what is the key? We need to be about solutions. And ultimately, what these leaders represent here right now, we're counting as a Latino community and others to mobilize, because congressional accountability is what is going to get us to the other side. We need to hold members of Congress for every vote they take. And we need to make sure we're communicating that in every language possible, that no se va a aceptar estos presupuestos. We are not going to accept these budgets. We are going to make sure they represent our values and the future that we know can make things better for this country. I'm proud that my team was down in McAllen, Texas last night in a town hall with Congressman Joaquin Castro. And we heard story after story of how folks are concerned. And they showed up. At least 200 folks showed up with short notice to make sure that we could hear and that we could communicate to Congressman Castro. And we're going to be doing this. The concerns around health costs, housing costs, jobs, the ability to buy essential goods, to not have to make the tough choices between rents and health care and food. You heard from all of my partners previously. We partner with FRAC and so many of the other organizations. There is a real threat to hunger in America. And it is going to get worse if we see this budget reconciliation package. Every day, all of us need to say, presente. We are here, and we're going to communicate to every member of Congress. We're going to show up in town halls. We're going to write letters. We're going to make phone calls. Y no vamos a hacer todo lo posible. Vamos a hacer todo lo posible para avanzar. ¿Sí se puede? Sí se puede. ¿Sí se puede? Sí se puede. Adelante. Siempre adelante.
All right. Oh, no, we're not done with you yet because you have to translate for me, okay? All right. Tengo fe y esperanza.
I have faith and hope
Que la gente unido.
that a united community
Vamos a tener éxito.
will have success.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
One last thing. When Senator Booker spoke to our crowd at one of the last events, he ended on one note. And that note was ánimo, hope, spirit, and yes, we can. So muchas gracias.
Yes. Con ánimo, vamos a subir. You want to say something?
So we're going to, thank you, Jane. What an extraordinary leader. Give it up. What an extraordinary leader. And we're going to transition now. We've got Senator Schiff, and we got several members of the House of Representatives. And as we transition, just again to recenter us, we began today at around 6 a.m. It was just two of us sitting on the Capitol steps. And now, hours later, hundreds have showed up on behalf of the American people, representing millions of the American people who have said, enough, this is not America, we are better than this. And you know, we weren't exactly sure, Cory and I, how many people were going to tune in. And so we started, and I said, well, Cory, we can at least be confident that we will have some viewership. His mother and my mother. But now people are watching all across America and the world to stand up against this Republican budget.
We are very blessed today, all the way from the great state of California, one of our most fearsome fighters, sharpest legal minds, most courageous hearts, one of the people that even though I'm a couple inches taller than him, he is a giant in the Senate, and I look up to him. Everybody give it up for Senator Adam Schiff.
Thank you, my friend. Happy birthday, pal. Happy birthday. Well, Cory and Hakeem, thank you for bringing us together today. Thank you for your extraordinary leadership in the Congress of the United States. We're so blessed to have you both. And thank you all for coming today. Thank you to those that have witnessed and spoken out, particularly the young people. I was so impressed listening to Cole. It brought back wonderful memories when he said that he wanted to be a video game programmer or a plumber. When my daughter was a similar age, she wanted to be a hospital doctor and help people or make fusilli at the California Pizza Kitchen. But it brought back to mind, too, our own family experience with health care and just what's at stake in the debate over this reconciliation package. When my daughter was around 4 or 5, and this story pales in comparison to the families you've already heard, she had her tonsils taken out, and I remember the doctor telling my wife and myself that there's a very small chance, less than 0.5%, that 10 days to 2 weeks after you have your tonsils out, you could begin bleeding profusely from the mouth, and you could die from that. It's never going to happen to your child. Don't worry about it. It's never going to happen. So sure enough, 10 days to 2 weeks out, at about 1 or 2 in the morning, our daughter comes into our bedroom bleeding profusely from the mouth. And we are terrified. And we scoop her up and we take her to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, great, great hospital. And they take wonderful care of her, and she's fine. And thank God there was such great medical care near where we lived, and great practitioners who knew what to do and could take care of our daughter. Now, we have private insurance. But the thing is, but for Medicaid, that hospital probably wouldn't be there. Wouldn't be there for us, wouldn't be there for anyone. If you eviscerate Medicaid, we're going to see hospitals all over this country shutting down. Hospitals are going to close, clinics are going to close, and people are going to die because they can't get the care that they need when they need it. It will be utterly catastrophic. Hospitals and clinics are already on the razor's edge of keeping their doors open. We've already seen so many hospitals close, particularly in rural areas. We've seen